Well, good evening, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to our service. And Rabbi, don't sit down. We're going to get you and the Rebbetzin. It's their last week here after being here all summer. Come light candles for us. That would be so nice. We'll see you back in April. Thank you. May the Shabbat candles that we now light inspire us to see justly and gently, look honestly and with kindness, and to see what's holy in each other.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shal Shabbat.
Thank you. And what are the odds that we have Houston, Dallas, Kansas City, and more Kansas City, all in one little clump? So welcome to all of you. Hine Matov, how good and pleasant it is for us to be together.
It is so wonderful that we are all here together on this Shabbat. So please take just a moment to introduce yourself or to say Shabbat Shalom to someone who's sitting nearby. Or wave from across the room. Hine matov u'manayim shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov Shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov Shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim 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 Shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov Yalalai, yalalalalalai. Hine matov Yalalai, yalalalalalai. Hine matov u'manayim Shavet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim Shavet achim gam yachad.
Well, as we're creeping closer to the holidays, it's frightening. We look at the calendar. Well, we look at the calendar in a frightening way. You say, I can't wait to go. We're trying to say we only have, 2 weeks, 10 days to get ready for everything we need for the amphitheater.
Why would you say that? That was mean.
I know.
That was mean
I know.
to acknowledge.
Well, next year when we look at the calendar, it's October. So we have that whole month of September. to get ready. But we'll be there. Page 8 at the middle of the page, let's continue with our family prayer. May we never take for granted the gift of Shabbat as we sit nestled in the Rocky Mountains, sharing this humble moment with family and friends. May the satisfaction of celebrating Shabbat hearten our spirits. Let Shabbat peace bring quiet to our souls. Allow this time set aside for song and prayer to bring us closer together in thoughts and deeds. Let the space we share become our place of devotion, glowing with reverence and filled with our traditions. May the end of this week encourage us to examine our actions and let us look ahead toward the new week, be worthy of all of God's blessings. The top of page 8 is we welcome the angels of peace and join together.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Psalm 95, as it was written by David as one of the Psalms, according to legend, it refers to the Israelites as they wandered from the desert and then into the mountains. It's one of those beautiful songs. We were talking before that this is one where we have to add it in every so often. It's been too long. And then try to get it out of your head when you're laying in bed tonight at 11 o'clock. But we like it anyway. Page 10 at the bottom of the page.
And you know, Rabbi Newman said to me, I'm going to call you at 1 o'clock in the morning when this is stuck in my head. And I said, that's fine. I will be on stage at Bridge Street. Lechu neranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 la la lai, nariah, yai lai 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 lai, litzor yishenu. Yai, lai, lai, yai, la, la, lai. Let us sing out to God, maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu neranena, yai, l'Adonai, yai, lai, 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 la, la, lai, nariah, yai, lai, 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 litzor yishenu, yai, lai, lai, yai, la, la, lai. With all of God's wonder and all of God's might, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, yai, lai, 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 l'Adonai, yai, lai, 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 la, la, lai, nariah, yai, lai, 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 Litzor Yishenu Yai Lai 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 Yalalai.
I don't think it matters how many times you've been to Israel, but when you come for that first day and you approach Jerusalem, you come on the rise overlooking the city and you look from your down to the valley and then up to the mountain. That was Sinai, just as the pilgrims saw it. It never gets tiring. Page 12 at the top of the page.
Shamayim va'aretz Ezri me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim va'aretz Esainai el harim Ve'ayin me'ayin yavo Ezri Esainai el harim Ve'ayin me'ayin yavo Ezri Ezri me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim va'aretz Ezri me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim va'aretz.
If we go back to the 16th century, to the Tana Svat, the center of Jewish mysticism, that's where the beautiful song of Lecha Dodi was written as a poem, and now as a song as we welcome the Sabbath bride, page 16.
Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Hishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem tiferet melitchila la 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nyancha Ki hi mekor ha'viracha Mirosh mikerem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machshevat chila la 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Mikdash melech ir melucha Kumitzi mitoha ha'afecha Rav lach shevet be'emek havacha Vehu yachmol alaychem la 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela.
The bottom of page 18, we rise, face the rear of the sanctuary as we greet the Sabbath bride.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'b'tzala Toch emunah am shegula Boi chala La 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela La 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela.
may be seated as we'll continue the top of page 21, Psalm 92. By tradition, this was first recited in the temple in Jerusalem. It was done so because it talks about a psalm of praise and hope, thanksgiving. Let's continue responsively the top of page 21. It is good to give thanks to you, O Lord, to praise your name through song, to speak in the morning of your loving kindness and your faithfulness each night. The music of the lute and the harp, the melody of the lyre, I'll sing with my delight as we continue the bottom of page 20.
Tzadika tamar yifrach ke'erez bavanon yizker shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenun beseva deshenim vera'ananim yehiyu lehagid ki ashar Adonai tsuri ve'lam latavo.
So many people make up all kinds of excuses why they can't join us for the high holidays. But Deirdre, yours takes the cake. We're going to be off the coast of Croatia on a yacht, but watching us by streaming. So I have no idea what the time zone difference will be, but we'll definitely give you a shout out. The excuse doesn't work, but you'll still be kind of with us. If you'd like to lead us, page 23, just for today.
Just for today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow, and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once. Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust everything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, cheerful, charitable, do my best, praise people for what they can do, not criticize them for what they cannot do. And if I find fault, I'll forgive it and forget it. I'll try not to improve nor regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I will have a plan. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from worry, hurry, and indecision.
Just for today, pull off my nerves and not get on theirs. I'll appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show it if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, I'll find a little time for quiet, to relax, and realize what life is and can be. Time to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for today, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
So Margot, you've not been up here before, have you?
Margot's come up a bunch of times. She's an old pro.
Well, we're all going to rise, page 24, our call to worship, and join together with them. Everybody?
What? I don't know. I guess Lila's going to lead Baruch Hu too.
Adonai, Hanevo, Hora.
seated. That was a nice treat for us. Page 28, at the top of the page, you loved your people Israel with unceasing love. Ahavat Olam will join together.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta, Amcha Avta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemadeta, otanu lemadeta. Alekein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochveinu u'kumenu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam ba'ed ki ehem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla negei yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael ohev amo Yisrael.
And on page 30, we'll join together in the Shema, and it's always a surprise. You're going solo? I'm really, okay.
Well, Lila decided to lead something else.
Okay. Okay, go.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha al haderech u'v'shachbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
So we read in the book of Psalms that the rivers lift up their voice and they raise a mighty roar. But we in this dry, safe, and quiet sanctuary raise our voices as well in song. We ask that God, you have mercy upon those and protect the women, men, and children, and give them hope who have gone through this hurricane. Strengthen those who gather to rescue them, protect them, and heal them in your pressing need of time. For together we pray that in all the Sabbaths to come, that we'll be able to return to the peaceful and contemplation of our Psalms. On page 32, as the waters closed upon the pursuing Egyptians, Israelites sang together, Micha Mocha, middle of page 32.
Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Ya lai la lai lai yai lai ya la lai. Yai la lai lai ya la 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 lai. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh feleh. Nora tehilot oseh feleh. Malchutecha uvanecha bokei yam lifnei Moshe. Ze'elianu ve'amru, Ze'elianu ve'amru. Adonai imlach le'olam va'ed. Adonai imlach le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Ya lai la lai lai yai lai ya la lai. Yai la lai lai ya lai 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 lai.
The prayer of Hashkivenu is a prayer that envisions God as a guide and a shelter during the night ahead, and praises God for watching over us. The top of page 34 as we join together.
And this song, Shelter Us in Place, was written by Eliana Light, who came to our second mountaintop this year and came and did a workshop with us as well. And her brand new album, Orahi, just was released a couple of days ago. This song is on this album. She wrote it during the pandemic when everyone was sheltered in place. And this is the track on the album that B'nai Vail sponsored. Shelter us in place, shelter us in peace, shelter us in love, shelter us in love, shelter us in place, shelter us in peace, shelter us in love, shelter us in love. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Shelter us in place, shelter us in peace, shelter us in love, shelter us in love, shelter us in place, shelter us in peace, shelter us in love, shelter us in love. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu l'shalom.
Thank you. I haven't heard that for quite a while. It's nice to bring it back, not under the circumstances. Yeah. It was beautiful. Well, taken from the book of Exodus, in 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he ceased from his work and rested. Page 36 will join together, V'shamru.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. La'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם.
The prayer of Birkat HaGomel expresses our gratitude for the miracle of healing and full restoration to life by God. To the many family and friends, and indeed full restoration to life itself. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, hagomel l'chayavim tovot, shegimalani kol tov. May God, who has bestowed kindness upon us, continue to bestow every goodness upon each of us and restore all of us to health. Where there are those in our community who are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit, if you have a loved one in your life in need of healing, please feel free to share their name aloud in just a moment. As we move about the sanctuary, page 38 at the top of the page, we continue.
Mi sheberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
We offer blessings for full healing to Gail Balin, Sue Beiser, Carol Ann Finn, Jane Friedman, Deborah Goldman, Mark Grabowski, Lori Hellman, Mike Herman, Karen Ellen Hirschberg, Re'ea Ivri, Donald Jaffe and Harriet Jaffe, Warren Janowitz, Mary Sue Katz, Herman Keek, Renee Myers, Stephen Reese, Ed Royal, Chip Ruth, Roberta Scheller, Lynn Eileen Schiller, Sam Schwartz, Bill Silvers, V. Sklarowitz, Dina Stempler, Maurice Strauss, and Mickey Winokur.
Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
turn to page 40 and rise and continue with the Reader's Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ויעמד דברה קירתי וימליך מלכותי.
וחייכון ויומכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב.
ויברו
אמן. יש מרבה מברך ועלם ולעם אומיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח, ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה
ברכו
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה.
תשבחתה ונחמתה תמירם בעלמא.
ויאמרו
Amen. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Page 42 at the top of the page.
Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha Adonai sfatai tiftach Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Oh, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Oh, eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory.
You may be seated when you've completed the Amida. Page 54 at the top of the page, we continue with our prayer for peace and join together Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav טסים לעולם, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. 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 טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם.
What's an old story but familiar one to all of us, where this time it was the Greenbergs invited the Shapiros to come for a Shabbat dinner. Why, thank you, says Mrs. Shapiro. What can we bring? Nothing, says Mrs. Greenberg. Just bring yourself. Now, how many times have we heard that or we've been there? When someone invites you into their home, we usually want to bring something. We want to bring a bottle of wine or some flowers. But the same thing applied when the Israelites were invited into the house of God. What did they bring? Well, in just a few days, as we gather into our house of God, the Ford Amphitheater, for the holidays, we ought to be thinking about the same types of gifts. What can we bring? Well, in the book of Deuteronomy, what we're reading this week, we read about a ritual that takes place in the ancient temple. This was a ceremony of the first fruits. Well, farmers from all over Israel, they would gather in Jerusalem with their first fruits from the fields, and this was called Bikurim. There was an elaborate ceremony where they would come before the Kohen HaGadol, the high priest, and they would present these fruits. Then the ceremony continued until the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed. Well, now each time we come to the synagogue, I'd like to think that we also make some kind of a pilgrimage. And while we don't bring fruit, we do bring other gifts. The gifts that we bring are probably more spiritual than they are material, but in the spirit of Avodah Shebalev, it's called the service of the heart. We should bring the best of ourselves. Well, the ceremony of the first fruits, it took place 2,000 years ago in temple times, well, served, I think, as a double purpose. First, it taught gratitude by bringing the first fruits of their fields. Farmers were reminded that life's blessings are a gift. They're a gift from God. What we have and what we've been given is not ours alone. Therefore, what we've been given, we're told, just like with these first fruits, it's something to share. Well, the second part of this ancient ceremony in the temple in Jerusalem, it nurtured what was known to be a sense of belonging and community. It was an acknowledgement of who we are. Our ancestors in the presence of Israel, it wasn't an accident that we were in Israel, and it wasn't a right. Our presence in Israel, from what we read, it was a privilege not to be taken for granted. And you know, when we gather together in 2 weeks, Jews around the world are all doing the same thing. We make that personal pilgrimage to the house of God. So the rabbis have been asking since the destruction of the temple, on the eve of the High Holy Days, what are you going to bring as your gift that you can offer when you come into the sanctuary? Well, they answered, and this is almost 2,000 years ago in the Talmud, they say the first thing we have to do is we bring ourselves. We ask ourselves, are we really present, or are we thousands of miles away thinking of something else? Are we prepared to participate in the service and brought ourselves in with the right kind of spirit, or are we merely going through the motions? And there was a wonderful reading in our prayer book. It talks about what it means to be truly present in the synagogue. We read that the person who hears the cantor pray, but doesn't feel the call to join in, hears but does not really hear. The person who listens to a sermon thinks that someone else is being addressed, hears but does not really hear. The person who hears the shofar blast but doesn't feel that they need to change their ways, they hear but they don't really hear. So the second gift that we bring is honesty. When we enter the synagogue, we need to leave all illusions, all self-deceptions outside. This is the place when we enter in 2 weeks where we have to be honest with ourselves and honest with others. And that means when we pray, that the Hebrew word for prayer is lehit palel. It comes from the root palal. It means to judge. So when we're praying, it's not just our offering things that we think are for God or for the holiday or for whatever else we're celebrating, but it literally means to judge oneself. Prayer is a form of self-assessment where we are supposed to be looking into our own souls, the mirror of our souls, and try to size ourselves up. So when we enter this chapel, we must also bring a sense of belonging. We're not alone, and we can see here that we might come from so many different places, but we're part of this community. Part of a people, and it's a link in the chain of history. So the best way to experience a sense of belonging and connection, I've always said, and we've been doing this, and that's what really this congregation is all about, is to make others feel at home. To make others feel at home, and you offer that warm greeting of Shabbat Shalom or Shana Tova, and when approaching especially someone that you don't know, introducing yourself and then making them feel home. Well, these are some of the things that you should bring. It's that bikurim. It's the first fruits of the holidays. And it's symbolic from the time of the Bible, but it's not symbolic when we enter in here. As we enter this amphitheater on those high holy days, we have to bring the precious gifts of sharing ourselves with each other and with God. And all of us say, just bring yourself. I think my mother taught me that. You don't go anywhere if you don't. Our self is not good enough. All right. But we have this year just doesn't end. We were sprung upon ourselves an amazing opportunity next week where David Moscow is coming with the Vail Symposium, and they said, do you want to join in with us and be a part of what he's offering? And I said no, because I don't plan anything 2 weeks in advance. It's not my style of getting it done properly, but we didn't want to miss the opportunity. And his book From Scratch is truly incredible when you think about him diving and foraging and hunting for all the different native foods. So when I spoke with him on the phone, he says, let's do the native foods of Colorado. So as we're talking, you have to Google, what are the native foods of Colorado? We're not just talking about like peaches that are here now, but going way back. So he said, if you can get some acorn flour, we can bake with it. I thought you could find everything on the internet, but not quite easily enough. So, and it would have a nutty flavor, I guess. But Janet looked around, and we had to take out a second on our home to buy this. But it's ground acorn flour. It's gluten-free and filled with goodness. So we're going to figure out some kind of a recipe. It sounds like a matzah cracker or something that you're going to make with this. They had acorn coffee, and I said, no, that's pushing it. I can't imagine. For the squirrels, right. So we do have this acorn flour. They're going to be making something. Also, next week, and it's reservations not in order to pay, but reservations so we know how many are coming. He'll be here on Wednesday for the symposium talking about his book and all that he does. And then he'll be here Thursday. He's bringing his filming crew to talk about how they film their shows, because his show From Scratch has been renewed for 2 more seasons where he travels around the world finding things from scratch and then how to make them. And Colorado is one that he was very interested in. And nice Jewish boy that grew up in New York, and now he's out in Hollywood. And everybody knows him, I guess, from Big, where he was the little one with Tom Hanks. As Tom Hanks shrunk to nothing, he became that. So it should be quite interesting and entertaining, and we're going to have the cantor think of some acorn song. Yeah, right. And right. But then we also, at the last minute, and I thank you for this one and you and
Yes.
Seth, because we have Again, we have found a goat to bring into the shul. Remember we did it a few years ago? It was the Azazel, where you put the little red ribbon on and then you send the goat off into
It's
the
the
world.
cutest little Azazel that you've ever seen.
So what's his name?
It's like one of 6. It could be blueberry or it could be, we hung out with
So we have a goat in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You're supposed to put your sins on this goat like they did. And this goat was sent off into the wilderness.
The goat's going to say, Shema.
I know. It's going to be great.
I'm so sorry.
It's going to be unique and special. When we did it last time, it was amazing.
It was really cool. It's fun to get a chance to get some hands-on experiential things during high holidays. So.
And he'll feel right at home with this green carpet. It'll just be
He might
perfect.
try to
So
eat
we're
it.
looking forward to that. We'll have that goat here in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur on that Shabbat. We do our goat service.
And we have a full calendar of BBYO events for our teens. We have a really fun rafting trip coming up next week. And they're going to a convention for the local region of BBYO, which includes all of Colorado and some of the surrounding states. And there's tons of stuff going on for our younger children as well. So if you know anyone that would like to participate, reach out. And
There's a bat mitzvah.
there's a bat mitzvah next weekend. Evie is becoming a bat mitzvah. We're so excited. She's coming up now to lead us in our next prayer, and we're so excited to celebrate with her next week.
So we'll return to our prayer books, page 60, as Evie's going to lead us now. Alinu. We all rise.
Aleni l'shabeach la'adon hakol la'tekiru la'leotzer bereshit solo asenu kegoye haratzot v'lo samanu kamishbachot adama shalo sam halkenu gahem v'gor alenu kohol amonam v'anachnu korim umishachavim umodim livnei melech melchei hamlechim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shechuno Tishamayim Beyosid Aret, O Moshe Yikaro Bashamayim Imal, Ushli Natuzo, Begav He Meromi, Hu Eloheinu Einod, Emin Malkeinu Efezulato, Kakatu Batorato Beadatahayom Moshamota Elevaveha Ki Adonai Hua Elohim Bashamayim Mimal Vayal Haaretz Meitacha Einod Ve'ne'emar Ve'haya Adonai Le'melech al kol ha'aretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad.
Oh, you're ready. That was beautiful. Thank you. At this moment, in memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and remembrance because a link has been broken in the chain that bound us together. Yet strong bonds of home and love hold us one to another. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links the generations one to another, we call to mind those whose yahrzeit we observe this month. Stephen Adocchio, Sarah Bart, Seal Balin, Max Beldick, Harold Berger, Donald Berger, Dennis Beleka, Pinya Bobrow, Ralph Cerny, Martin Colton, Harold Daskin, Michael Deutschman, Joseph Dworkin, Israel Azurski, Joseph Field, Ida Finkelstein, Beatrice Fox, Herbert Friedman, Rosalind Friedman, Jules Friedman, and Alan Frummer, Max Gelfand, Harry Gerson, Frida Goldberg, Bessie Goldstein, Stella Gordon, Jacob Green, Roma Green, Mary Ellen Hape, Harris Herman, Greg Hunzo, Luella Hoym, David Jadwin, Lily Kaplan, Bernard Cotterer, Howard Crivet, Mildred Kernblum, Sidney Ladd, Ida Lebzelter, Stanley Leonard, Leonard Levenstein, Emil Levitch, Frankie Levitch, Marvin Lichter, Stanley Miller, Bernard Minko, George Molina, Louis Neperant, Eugene Parr, Bernard Pocker, Lester Pakras, Mildred Podrat, Nancy Polishuk, Eileen Potterman, Frida Ratner, Meyer, Nathan Rickman, Leo Rosen, Rosalind Ross, Samuel Rothenberg, Melvin D. Sachs, Howard Schwab, Marilyn Shevelson, Fern Shear, Martin Spector, Milton Spiro, Thomas Stoffel Sr., Richard Swig, Joseph Tall, Joseph Weinstein, Lorraine Weinzimmer, Mildred Weiss, Max Wellens, Gabriel Wolf, Francis Zaleski, and Izzy Zalkin. And if anyone else is observing Yahrzeit this month. Thank you. The Mourner's Cottage can be found in our prayer books on page 64. Those who wish may join with us as we say, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemer rabah, v'alma divrach irute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh d'chal Beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv v'imramen. Yehesh me rabba mefarach le'olam omei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, Yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha brechu. Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'yalma v'imramen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramen. Oseh shalom v'imramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramen. You may be seated. As we conclude our service on page 66, Adon Olam, I'm just thinking which tune you're going to possibly choose.
No, I'm open to suggestions. What is
Man.
I don't know if I'm quite familiar enough with that.
What? That's at every graduation, Man of La Mancha, isn't it?
Is that like a Mamma Mia reference from a few years ago? Oh my God.
Which one
Don't
does he
do
want?
that to me. I'm like still have PTSD from them canceling that show. Any other? John. Okay. Oh. Okay. Fine. Okay. Fine. John Denver. I don't know. Lam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra. Le'nasa v'chesed kol adai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei yichot hakol levado yimloch nara
Rabbi, please.
v'hu hoveh v'hu yeh Tifara Vehu echad Ve'en sheni Lehamshilo Lehabira Bli reshit Bli tachlit Belo ha'oz Ve'hamizra Vehu eli Chai Gali, Zor Chavli, Ve'et Sarah, Ve'hunisi, Manosli, Nakosi, Ve'yom Ekra, Be'ado Afkid Ruchi, Ve'et Zishan, Ve'a'ira, Ve'iruchi geviati Donai li below Era. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia,
Colorado.
Mountain Mama,
Mama,
take me home. Country
Country
roads.
And Steve, that does not work in Houston, okay? I know, okay. Let's rise for a closing blessing. Adonai Osli Amo Yitain, Adonai Varechet Amo V'Shalom. The Lord grant strength unto his people, bless all peoples with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'tei avon.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you. Oh, thank
Not
you.
just for Melissa.
Thanks.
Really, I
Nice summer.
you know, I really do. It's just, it's a place where, you know, when you're a rabbi and a rebbe saying, there's a lot of there's a huge big party, but there's always the performance aspect is right. And it's so wonderful when you enjoy it. And to become to a congregation like this where I really feel I love you so much. I like the rabbi so much. I just feel comfortable.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Oh, thank you. Shabbat shalom and Shana Tova. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom.